everybody. This is clip number 9. I know it's after the event now, but I still feel that it's important to complete the 10 clips, one for each year that Billy has not been with us. I did record one at the weekend. That was going to be clip number 9, and I just was not feeling it, so it didn't make the final cut. Halloween and bonfire night are triggers for me, because I remember being at home, still recovering from HELP syndrome, as well as trying to kind of get my head around what had happened to us. I was poorly for quite a good while. I could barely walk, sit down, stand up. Nothing was comfortable, and it took a long time to get better. So I spent a lot of time on the couch. I made sure, for my own sanity, that I got up, at least got up out of bed every day, and moved downstairs to the couch and watched TV there. And clearly, I remember people knocking, trick or treating, and Billy's funeral was a Friday, and it was the weekend that all the usual displays were happening. So I associate bonfire night and fireworks with Billy's funeral, which is what I'm going to talk about today. So never did I ever believe or even consider that I'd have to plan my own child's funeral. I hadn't really had any encounters with what happened. You know, obviously I'd been and attended funerals, but I didn't have a clue as to what we were getting into, or what the options were around burial or cremation or anything like that. We chose the cemetery quite quickly. I think we'd actually, I remember that was the only place that I visited for quite a few weeks, because I wanted to go there and choose Billy's plot. There were a few options as to which cemetery he could go into, and Swanlow Park had been mentioned to me, and it used to be on my route to work. So I remember when it was being built, and they were built kind of like cleared, and they were building the entrance and stuff, because it was on my route to work. So there were traffic lights for a few weeks while they were doing that work, but I never had reason to even, I didn't even know what it looked like behind the gates. So the only thing that I did really for a good month or so was make it out to the cemetery to choose Billy's plot. The cemetery that he's in is beautiful. I know I've talked about it on other clips. There's a special children's section, and it's private. It's a private cemetery, and maintained by the owner and his family extremely well. He was the 7th baby there. I think I counted that, didn't I, the other day when I was there. 7th there, and it was an emotional time. You know, you don't think about choosing plots and which plot, you know, did we want, and which side, which was the sunniest, which did we, you know, feel was best. You know, we had decisions to make, so we chose that cemetery straight away. We didn't visit any others, and we chose his plot very quickly. It was basically, which side do you want to be, on the left or the right, because obviously the semicircle had been taken. Decided to opt with the left. No other reason, just made that choice. What did surprise me when we were at the cemetery were, now bearing in mind Billy was our first child, so we had not been exposed to CBeebies at this time, or any characters of the like. So there were a few headstones that were not your kind of normal standard headstone, maybe is the best way of describing it. So there was, I think there was one with dolphins on, there was one with a teddy on, I think there was one, a Love Heart one, and there was this one, which we now know is Iggle Piggle, but at the time, me and Nick just looked at each other and were like, what's that? Like, is it a gingerbread man? Like, we just had no clue. And we made the decision, or I guess really I made the decision, Nick just run with it, that we would go with a very typical headstone, which you've all seen on the other clips. At the time, there weren't a huge array of options for children's headstones. So if we'd opted for something else, it would have either had to have been specially commissioned and would have taken a long time, or it would have been the same as one that was already there. And I really wanted something up that I could visit fairly quickly. I didn't want Billy to be buried and have no headstone for a prolonged period of time. That was just something that I didn't want. So we went with regular headstone, which are obviously available much quicker. We then had to think about, we had a meeting, the funeral director visited us at our home, because obviously I was too poorly really to visit him, and he was great, and obviously we had the choice of burial or cremation, and I know that since then there's been a lot of controversy around cremation of babies and children. We decided that we wanted Billy to be cremated. I just couldn't bear the thought of him being in the ground. Personal choice. And we then got into kind of talking about what the service would be. Did we want a service? Because some people don't have a service, you know, all the rest of it. One thing that we did have to do was get a death certificate. Nick had to go do that on his own because I was just too poorly to leave the house. So he went on his own, got the death certificate, which we needed before we could arrange a funeral. The funeral was, post-mortem was done quite quickly, or, you know, Billy was returned to the hospital quite quickly. And within a couple of weeks we held his funeral. So at the funeral were our parents, brothers and our brothers and sisters, and that was it. Wanted to keep it small. Those were the people that attended the funeral were the people that had met Billy and held Billy and had time with Billy. We didn't think it was relevant or appropriate for anybody else to attend. You know, if you'd not met and held Billy, then why would you be at his funeral? You know, it just doesn't make sense, does it? You wouldn't go to someone's funeral that you didn't know. So it's quite a small funeral at the usual local centre in Crewe. There's now a really much nicer centre in Davenham, which is very nice for a cremation centre, whatever they're called, I don't know. So we went there, we chose a white casket. Nick carried the casket down to the front. We had to choose the music, which I chose. Nick kind of agreed. Nick had been out, I don't remember where he'd gone. He'd gone round to my mum's or something, and he returned now. It was just this hysterical mess, like, because I'd been trying to find some music that was appropriate for a child's funeral, and I was just getting nowhere because how do you do it? We settled on a few songs, which most people who know me will know. Over the Rainbow, which is the ukulele version, which is by the Israel, cannot pronounce his second name, the guy from Hawaii. him and his ukulele. That was the one that was played when Nick carried the casket down to the front, and then Sarah McLachlan, Angel, Arms of an Angel, was played after the service at the end, and then the service was done. So you're kind of like, well, what did you do after that? Everyone, the people that were there came back to our house, and we just kind of chatted and stuff. Dad had a fair amount of medication to get me through the day. I was still extremely poorly, in a lot of pain. The other song that was in the mix was, which I still associate with Billy, was This Woman's Work, originally by Kate Bush, but it was also covered by Maxwell. We didn't go with that one in the end, but I still play that song quite a lot along with the other two because it nearly made the final cut, but then it didn't. It's a beautiful song. And then you choose your words for your headstone, and there's a lot more. 10 years on, there's a lot more choice around words, around exposure, around people that you can talk to with regards to these kind of things. But back then there really wasn't. There was not much. You could buy a few books on Amazon. I talked to my tribe. They were going through the same thing, trying to think of words to put on a headstone. I didn't want all these loads of words, and I didn't want words that we then might regret later, like words that would describe him as a baby. What about when it becomes his 21st? Would the words still be appropriate and all that? So the words that we went with were extremely simple compared to some. And the words on his headstone are in our arms for a moment, in our hearts for a lifetime. Simple. Not much more to say really. And I wouldn't change the word. I don't regret the words. I wouldn't change the words today. The only thing that I might do differently is a headstone. And I've toyed with it quite a few times whether to change it or not. There's one a few down now from Billy, and there's, like I've said, there's a lot more choice, and it's very simple, and it's a jigsaw piece. And I often describe our life now as being this awesome picture. We've got 3 amazing little girls, a dog, we've got a great life. We don't have to, we're happy and we're healthy. But there's a piece of the jigsaw missing, and we'll never know what that piece will be like. I think if I was choosing a headstone today, I would choose that jigsaw piece. It wasn't available back then, and I probably wouldn't have chosen it, thought of it, considered it back then, because it was very much on autopilot. The fact that I wanted a different headstone. Will I change it? I don't think so. I think, if you're getting into changing it, then it doesn't feel right to change something that I put there originally at the time. But I think my only message for anyone at the start of their journey is to not rush. If your baby's not got a headstone, we were lucky enough to have the funds to move forward with a funeral and a headstone. A lot of people don't have funds available to them, savings that they can just access, because headstones aren't cheap, they're thousands of pounds. Some people, there are still some babies years and years on without headstones, and I know there are various charities that can help people with that these days. My message to people at the start of their journey is don't rush into the headstone. If your baby has been buried or cremated and the interment's happened, it doesn't matter if they don't have a headstone for a while. You can still go put things there. You can still put mementos there and stuff that you would put on a headstone like I still do today. Don't rush into the headstone because it's a permanent fixture. Make sure you know, even if it takes you a year to come to the conclusion, take your time. The funeral really was for any situation, closure is the wrong word, but a funeral does give an end to something. And I think for me personally, it felt like after that, the world around us started to move forward very quickly, and we were still stuck in the place of grief, because for everyone else things get back to normal relatively soon, you know, a couple of months, and you know, I was pregnant again, I was back to work, and the world keeps moving, and you feel like your world has stopped, and you know, it feels like everyone's moved forward, and you're going to be stuck in that place for a very long time. Just know that that's normal. Know that you will move forward. You won't be stuck in that place forever, but I can't tell you that it's going to get easier. You will develop your own coping mechanisms. So the reason that we chose to raise money for Tommy's is to prevent people having to encounter arranging their baby's funeral, choosing cemeteries, funding headstones, thinking of words to put on headstones. We want to prevent stillbirth happening, people losing their babies. There are lots of charities that help bereaved parents, but for us, for me in particular, I feel very strongly around research and knowledge. And if we have, you know, that old saying of knowledge is power, I would rather invest my time and energy and fundraising into stopping parents having to go through this, preventing stillbirth, than you know, continuing to support people who this happens to. You know, those charities do great work, but wouldn't it be brilliant if those charities didn't need to exist? So that's my clip on Billy's funeral. Clip number 9. The final clip is going to be about the event, the money that we raise, the difference that we will make to Tommy's. So I'll do that in the next day or so. Might get the girls involved, my little girls. And yeah, thanks to all that have supported us so far. You can still donate to the Just Giving page if you want to. We've not closed it as yet. Still counting up all the bits and pieces of collections and stuff that we gathered up along the way, and stuff. The raffle that we did at the event. The event was amazing. It was very much a tonic, as my mum would describe it. It was very uplifting. To see two of my girls dancing was just, can't describe it. I cry every time I watch the videos. And yeah, thank you to everyone that was involved in that. I've got little gifts for my 2 older sisters who were the main organisers of the event. I've got a little gift for the teachers of the dance group, because they've done amazing work, and we were very grateful for them committing their time to teaching all the children. I don't know how they do it week in, week out, to dance, and particularly the dance that they did with our 2 older girls, where they danced on their own for me and Nick as part of the show. And I've got a little gift for my friend Katie, because she literally pounded the streets with a letter that she said, I need a letter from Tommy saying that what we're fundraising for, otherwise no one will give me anything. So I gave her this letter, and literally she turned up with folders full of raffle prizes. She just stormed the streets and blagged her way through it. So she was an absolute diamond in raffle collection. I didn't expect anything like what she got. So I've got her a little gift too. So I'll get those to people in the next couple of days before the weekend. So yeah, thanks to everybody that's been part of the show and everybody that's contributed. Clip number 10 will focus on the money that we raised and how that will be used. So thanks.